Welcome, love. This is Sex, Drugs, and Sound Bowls, and I'm Jessie Siren, here to stir the cauldron with raw psycho-spiritual talks on healing, plant medicine, sex, motherhood, and the sacred chaos that cracks us open and lights the way forward. Expect deep truth and raw feels that leave you inspired, held in your humanness, and ready to take your rightful place as the creator of your own experience. With a deep breath and an open heart, let's be all the way here now. Hello, friends. Reporting live from my living room. I've got about 10 minutes before the kids come rushing and roaring in, and we are in the middle of getting the house ready to Airbnb and move on to the yellow school bus. A lot of big things are happening. But a few weeks ago, I recorded my first ever trip report for you, and I was so excited to get it out. I was pushing and editing, and I just, for one reason or another, kept coming up against a wall again and again. I couldn't get it from my phone to the computer. I couldn't get it from the computer editing program. I couldn't export it back to the computer. The sound wasn't working. For one reason or another, I kept coming up against these walls, and I'm so grateful because the universe works in mysterious ways, and this standstill allowed me the space I needed to come back into integrity, back into alignment with what I feel is responsible release of this message out into the world. I wanted to share that the journey you're about to go on with me in this next episode is a journey it's taken me 5 years and countless journeys to get to. 5 years ago, I felt like I was coming up against a standstill in my healing journey, and the breath work and the meditation and the yoga and the talk therapy and the EMDR and the Wim Hof and the nature grounding, like all of these things were only taking me so far. And especially when it came to my relationship with my husband, I just felt like we were in these repetitious and vicious cycles, and I wanted out. And so I got curious about psychedelic therapy, and I felt like I was really set up for success, right? Like half of my life I've been teaching and practicing breathwork and meditation and yoga. I've had all this therapy. I have the support of my husband. And so Matt and I started psychedelic couples therapy. And it was recommended to us that we go on some individual journeys before we take one together. And bless that recommendation, because I went on my own journey and it turns out it's me, I'm the problem. Right, I thought like Matt was gonna have some cathartic aha, and finally things were gonna, work themselves out between us, and it turns out that I was carrying some deep reservoirs of pain and repressed memory. I had no way of knowing what I was in for, and I took my first journey, and the lid on Pandora's box blew off. And my brain and my heart and my nervous system and my body, every part of me became saturated with memory, living memory, visceral memory, images and feelings and grief. And I became so saturated, I felt like I wasn't even here anymore. I felt like I was split in half between these two timelines, between this remembering of this trauma, of this pain, and the life I had now. And all of this is to say is I feel like it's one of the most important decisions I've ever made when it's come to my own path to remembering my wholeness. And still, it was one of the most painful things I've ever been through. And if I would have known what I was in for, would I have done it? I don't think I would have. It took me to my threshold and then blew me past it. And there were not just weeks or months, but years of picking up the pieces and trying to fit them back together. I remember thinking and wondering, just like, will I ever feel like myself again? Will I ever get out of this like endless dark tunnel? And what I didn't know then, that I do know now, is that endless dark tunnel was a birth canal, and that right before the dawn, right, it's the darkest, and right before the baby comes is the most pressure and pain you've ever experienced in your life, right before the most joy and bliss and heart-centered connection you've ever experienced in your life. And that was so much of my experience through navigating the Shadowlands back into this version of myself that feels like the most expansive, joyful, connected, grateful for all of it, for all of that messy stuff that used to terrify me, grateful for it person that I am today. So I share this with you because it's not a little pill to fix all your problems. It will reveal things, and these things can sometimes take years to integrate. And if you're asking me, like from my own perspective, a lifetime to integrate. I'm still integrating things from journeys 5 years ago. And being home with the kids during those years was hard. I remember some days just like not being able to get off the couch and like knowing I have to move my body and just turning on a random playlist and then drawing the blinds and just sobbing and dancing around the living room to Mozart and Requiem in D minor, or thrashing to some metal and just letting the energy move through me and finding little gasps of breath with my head above the water. And I remember Indio telling me, like, Mom, why are you so sad? Why does your voice sound so sad all the time? And the truth is, when it comes to healing the nervous system, the heart, the body, it takes as long as it takes. There's a song by, who is it? Is it Trevor Hall? You can't rush your healing. And I believe that to my bones. But I do believe also that you can support yourself. You can deeply support yourself to catalyze that healing. I'm here to say, I'll share more about my intro to the world of psychedelic healing in a later episode. But I just wanted to start by saying, even though this next journey we're about to go on together, it seems sweet and lighthearted and so generous, right? With its gifts of revealing blind spots. It has taken me 5 years to get to a journey like that, where I wasn't kind of wrecked for a while after. Integration is so important. It's the only way to make this medicine meaningful. So I'm not here to tell you whether or not psychedelics are for you, but I am here to remind you, if you're in the middle of integrating something heavy, deep, wide, you're not alone. And you're gonna make it, and you're gonna be lighter and brighter and more expansive than you've ever been on the other side. I believe in you. I believe in you because somebody believed in me, and it made all the difference. Welcome back to Sex, Drugs, and Sound Bowls. I'm your host, Jessie Siren, and today we're getting into the drugs. All of this, of course, is just hypothetical story making with the intention of education and safety. Although mushroom journeys are unpredictable, always giving you exactly what you need and rarely giving you exactly what you want, today we'll explore one story, one possibility. Opening here with Palo Santo. Nature's sacred incense. It seems pertinent as it is the embodiment of an alchemical process that takes into account the medicine that comes from these tiny deaths, the time it takes for the resin, for the healing to seep into the heartwood to become usable wisdom. You see these ancient, beautiful medicine trees. In order to become this little stick of incense, they have to die of natural causes. And this is important because at the end of the life of this beautiful Palo Santo tree, it starts to produce more resin. And the resin is kind of like the immune system of the tree. It's antimicrobial, it fights the bugs and the infections. And it also gives it this beautiful, potent smell. And so at the end of its life, it's producing more resin. It falls to the forest floor where it needs to decompose for years, if not decades. And in that time, an alchemical process takes place. The resin begins to seep into the heartwood. And there's this beautiful alchemical reaction that happens between the drying wood and the microbes, not unlike the process of making wine. Until with time and patience, you're left with this beautiful medicine from death, healing, life, wisdom. Thank you. And then of course, I've got a cup of marvelous magical horsetail tea from the meadow. It is one of my favorite tasting teas, and I swear when I take a sip of it, my body just, I have goosebumps right now. My body just heaves a sigh like, oh, everything we've been waiting for. Horsetail is one of the most rich greens in silica, and silica is foundational for all tissue repair, for bones, for calcium, for teeth, for hair, for nails, for collagen production. And there is a myriad of other vitamins and minerals in this plant that are just so soothing for the body and the nervous system, so soothing and healing for the body and the nervous system. Childcare can be hard to come by. And so Matt and I will often take turns throughout the year, a couple times a year, holding space while the other journeys in the bedroom. So we'll just barricade it off, lock the door, grab everything we need, and go for a journey while the other takes care of and tends the family. So long ago now, over a month ago, on April 11th at 5 p.m., I locked myself in the bedroom and held ceremony to imbibe 800 milligrams of Cloud Seeker. Cloud Seeker is a strain of mushrooms curated by a beautiful, magical, marvelous friend that is, I would say, double potency what I've experienced on Golden Teacher. And so 800 for me is like almost like a 2-gram journey. And the first thing that I write here is so far beyond the realm of conception and even imagination. Orgasmic, psychotic, mystical. 800 milligrams Cloud Seeker. So always before I take the medicine, the moment I decide to take the medicine, the journey begins, and things start to peek out from the shadows, anxieties, fears. I start to become hyper aware of my interaction in the world and the ways in which I am being service and the ways in which I am causing harm. Because from past experiences, those things are illuminated in a very dramatic way when I'm on the medicine. And so because I know this, I already actually feel kind of like I'm on the medicine in the weeks leading up to the journey. And this is a beautiful gift because if I have swayed, it allows me to step back onto the path of my highest expression. If I have strayed from my values, if I have started living back in the old paradigm, the old cycles, circles, programs that keep me stuck, rooted, victimized, it allows me to step back on to a path of alignment. Little side note, one of the most important parts of journeying for Matt and I is preparing the mind. And just like we prepare the body, just like we prepare the heart, preparing the mind allows that when you take the medicine, you're not just swimming on the surface here, like, sorting through all the shows you've watched and the conversations you've had and the all the stuff on the surface. But if you've cleared all that stuff out in a daily meditation and practice, whether that's a walking meditation, a drumming meditation, a sitting quietly on the mountain meditation, that's up to you. But if I've cleared the superficial in the days and weeks leading up to a journey, I find that I'm able to dive a little bit deeper. And it's a little more interesting to me and a little less muddy. And mushrooms can get a little wacky, a little muddy, a little wild. And we also, in the weeks leading up to journeys, Matt and I really take impeccable care of our bodies. So we make sure we're getting deep, restful sleep. We make sure that we're putting lots of greens in our body. We drink our spring water. We limit our caffeine intake. We cut alcohol completely out. And we make sure that the media that we're taking in is just as conscious as the food and the water that we're taking in. So we limit Instagram. We limit television. And even just cut it out completely in the days leading up. So this day was no different than any other journey I've ever had. There was a million reasons that I felt like, oh, I can't journey today. I shouldn't journey today. Anxiety was so high. I felt like I was just going to break open. All my bones were and my teeth and everything just rattling in apprehension, like what will be revealed to me. And past journeys, when I think about how mushrooms have shown themselves to work in me, It's not unlike the way they work in nature. Mushrooms can go into places of complete disarray, of rot, of decay, of toxicity, and they feast on that rot, that decay, that toxicity, and they pull it up through their mycelium, and they alchemize it, and they turn it into a beautiful fruiting body. And when I have taken mushrooms, I've spent a lot of my life, my tendency is to look at the brighter side of things, is to look up instead of looking at the dirt, the decay around me, is to seek outward instead of sitting with the discomfort inside of me. And so mushrooms have done so much of going in and unlocking all of the dark, all of the shadow, all of the pain, all of the things that I have been trying to swim and reach and get away from my whole life. And so it's been intense, to say the least. But I keep coming back because the gift of that is that even in the unconscious, even if I am holding on to this fear, this pain, this grief, this discontent, unconsciously, it is still wreaking havoc on my body, on my nervous system. It is still stealing my life force energy and my joy and my ability to be present with what is. And so after these hard journeys, always is unlocked another layer, another level of depth, of presence, of joy in the weeks, months, and years that follow. And so I come to the medicine in reverence. I come to the medicine knowing that there might be something hard, that it will be revealed to me. And I also came to the medicine this time understanding that we talk a lot about set and setting in the world of psychedelics and plant medicine. And if your mindset is that this is going to be hard and ugly and messy, then that is the experience that you will create, right? The subconscious is so powerful. And so I tried to really come into this journey with an open mind, that really anything is possible, and open myself up to experiencing, receiving whatever was for me. So my intention going into this journey was really just to be soft, to be open, to let go of fear, in the understanding that even the scary things that have been revealed or shown to me in the past led to a more compassionate experience of myself, of my community, and of the world. So much of the journey is beyond the scope of human comprehension, beyond the scope of words and expression. It's like, it's a kind of healing you can feel, you can experience, but you just can't begin to express. And I wrote, so far beyond the realm of conception and even imagination, orgasmic, psychotic, mystical, I diffuse. On mushrooms, I feel that the whole of me diffuses, and layer by layer, cell by cell, wavelet by wavelet, I am reintroduced to myself. Like a drop of water into the ocean, I spread out, I soften, I merge. No longer solid, no longer me, my, I, but a flowing, interconnected, ever-evolving sacred process. Simultaneously, I am the ocean, quivering, coagulating, folding itself back into droplets, trillions and trillions of drops, each one alive, pulsating with storied meaning and existence, cycling, circling, each with its own unique process of creation, preservation, and dissolution. Somewhere out beyond theories, explanations, and thought is feeling. Feeling is first. I keep coming back to the transpersonal, looking for something concrete, logical, reusable, repurposable, something I can scale and dole out, some kind of scientific process or set in stone way, a pre-carved path to healing, to wholeness, something I can rely on and share with others. But there's a part of me way back in the back row of my mind, giggling. Maybe it's that mushroom part, the trickster, the mystic, the one who knows. She laughs because she remembers. All the rituals, all the tools, all the truths, they only mean the meaning we give them. They are only as real as the reverence we give them, only as powerful as the belief we breathe into them. And somehow in that, they become sacred. Not because they are the way, but because we are the way. We are the torch bearers, choosing what shadows and stories, what depths and doorways to illuminate. And life itself is the cave of endless wonders. We are the fire, the cauldron, the lead, and the gold. We are the sacred weavers, choosing which threads to follow, which knots to untie, which patterns to remember. We decide which fires to tend, which stories to warm ourselves by, which myths to climb inside and call home. A choosing that rises from somewhere deep below and beyond thought. From the marrow, from the meaning words can never touch, from the rhythm of an ancient breath, from a pulse that remembers what the mind has forgotten. This is not logic. This is deep listening and even deeper honoring of that listening. The rituals, the tools, the truths, they only shimmer with the power we give them. Like a dream remembering itself. Like ancient water flowing to and through ancient roots. Listen to the hush between heartbeats, where the truth hums a sacred lullaby without ever speaking. And then I just did some bullets here, noting important little junctions. So from the beginning, in my room, I've set up a beautiful little altar. I just had the whole mushroom weighed out, and I called in my directions and beat my drum. I sang my song. I said a prayer. I hold this medicine to be wholly good. And then I ate the mushroom. Somewhere between 0 and about 15 or 20, my mind has kind of slowed down and everything has become still frame. And now all of the thoughts and beliefs that are there are like objects in a room that I can pick up, that I can look at, that I can examine in curiosity. And so the first thing I notice is a half-formed thought. I notice where I'm cutting myself off. The thought says, I want. Well, what's the end of that? What do you want? And myself to myself, back and forth. No, you shouldn't. It's selfish. It's superficial. But no, you can't have it anyway. And finally I ask, humor me, complete the thought. And the thought is, I want to be rich. Quivering, anxious, fear ripples through me. Now what? And like a ladder, a trail of beliefs beneath that statement reveal themselves. If I want to be rich, I'll have to work hard. I'll have to work myself to the bone, and that will take me away from my loves, my family. I don't want that. It'll take me away from my self-care. I don't want that. It'll steal my time, my life force, energy. I don't want that. It requires me to market, to sell my soul. I don't want that. Therefore, I don't want to be rich. Do you see the glitch? The crossing of wires? Even if the superficial belief and desire is I want to be rich, everything beneath that, the power of the subconscious mind, is cutting it off, is sabotaging it, because truly, deeply, fundamentally, my beliefs are that it's dangerous. It will take. In Willy, and then I recalled even, in the mushroom space, we had watched Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory a couple weeks before this journey. And I had been kind of ruminating on it, thinking about it, because there were so many layers to it. It's a great story. In Willy Wonka, when Charlie is sitting with his grandpa and opens the chocolate bar, it's his second chocolate bar that grandpa has given him and his last chance to win a golden ticket. And they're sitting there heart to heart, face to face, and then they know they're gonna win, and they open the bar, they peel it open, only to find no golden ticket. And he looks at his grandpa and he heaves this giant sigh and says, I bet the golden tickets make the chocolate taste terrible anyway. And in this space, right, in this space of stillness and spaciousness, that's it. We made it bad and wrong because it hurt too much to admit that we wanted it and didn't believe we could have it. We made poverty and pennilessness akin to godliness and spirituality. We passed around old adages like money is the root of all evil, money can't buy happiness, money changes people, more money, more problems, money makes monsters out of men, so we could feel a superficial sense of pride or relief in our own mediocrity, in our lack, in our poverty. More crossed wires unraveling. I allow myself to be rich, rested, and rooted in love. In the spaciousness and stillness of the room of my mind, I'm able to go in and take out these old programs and install new ones. Money flows to me in ways that support my deepest values and my family's freedom. The more I receive, the more I can give. Wealth is what allows me to nourish, to build, to rest, to offer. It's safe for me to want more. I can have time, love, magic, and money. At this point, the medicine comes on fully, and in waves, and in ripples, and in quivering, and coolness. I pull my shades over my eyes, I put my headphones on, and I curl up under all my covers. This space, so much is beyond expression. But 4 years ago, when I was deep in the Shadowlands, when I was remembering, there was so much pain, there was so much grief. I had 2 toddlers. I was pregnant. I didn't feel like I had the resources, the help, the support that I needed. I didn't want to be here anymore. And I had this little spider plant, and I would plant it and then it would die and I'd have 1 leaf left. So I'd propagate it and I'd try again. And I had done this for months. And I remember one day just at my breaking point, feeling like everything around me was collapsing, looking at this little plant and saying, if you fucking die, I will die. If you die, if you give up, I give up. And I repotted it and I watered it. And I talked to it. And every day it grew a little more. And I'd see it growing, thriving, rooting, reaching, and I'd give it a little wink and I know, I just know we're gonna be okay. We're gonna be okay. It grew and I grew, and it grew long tendrils, and it was beautiful, and it hung in the window here by my kitchen sink. And then sometime last year, swept up in the chaos that is trying to run a business and build a bus and raise 3 children, that spider plant got sick. And revealed to me in this journey was a tendency I have to look away from the pain, to look away from the ugly. And I looked away. I didn't try to help the plant. I didn't try to save the plant. I just let it die. And it died, and then I just threw it out. And so I can't really even explain what this was like, but in this liminal space, there was this spider plant energy, and it was just screaming. It was like in agony and pain and betrayal, just like you betrayed me. And it asked something of me in that space. And so it wanted me to make a sign instead of a tombstone, and the sign would say, "You are not alone." And so I honored that, and I made the sign, and I hold in gratitude and reverence and love this spider plant that pretty near saved my life. And I learned a powerful lesson about myself and my tendencies, and vowed to practice to the best of my abilities, not looking away. And then we went into like deep space, And I have this experience again and again being on medicine. I don't know if I'm zoomed all the way in or all the way out, but it's as if every cell of my body, I actually had this thought that if we were created in the image of God, and God is the entire universe, right? Everything. Then maybe that's us too. Maybe it's less about being like in the image of him, like we have his face, but that we ourselves contain galaxies, that we are the cosmos. We are made of the stuff of stardust. And instead of suns and moons and planets, we've got protons and neutrons, electrons swirling around. We are bioluminescent. Anyway, I have this experience when I go into the journey space. This is one of the things that makes it so scary for me, is losing myself completely to the mushroom and being whisked around. And I have this experience of going into each cell of my body, right? Trillions of cells, and each cell carries a message that is like pulsating with storied meaning. And when I'm out of control in this space, when I don't have a me, my, I, a body, or a tether to this realm, this dimension, I often find myself in stories that are painful, that are scary, that are weird, that are just not desirable. And in this journey, I had a really powerful experience after years and years of like being kind of lost in these storied, in this storied existence. I somehow, autonomically, just took a big breath in. And me that was dissolved in the ethers, that me that was one with all and feeling the storied existence of every cell in my body, felt that breath as a tether, as a main line back to this body, back to this dimension, this solid dimension. Trillions of cells with trillions of stories, and where I normally lose myself and merge with them, merge with the stories and the fear or pain or disgust or weirdness they play out. This time I took a breath in, and though I was formless, I could feel the energetic tether to my body, and it was enough for me to separate from whatever the story was, to still feel it, be aware of it, but not be consumed by it, not be it. I'm like some kind of cosmic black hole, breathing in the stories that were no longer serving, pulling them into my great cosmic belly, alchemizing the old and sending it out, new and vital, through my arms and my fingers, my legs and my toes, feeling it, glowing in my pineal gland. I was not me and me at the same time. And then I started to come down off the medicine. I had to go to the bathroom, so I snuck out, locked myself in the bathroom, I was still wearing my headphones, played some like more dancey music and stared at myself in the mirror and just danced. And then at one point I looked at myself in the mirror and I smiled really big. I just, like a child's smile, just like, and I just started sobbing. And there was this immediate revelation that like, I don't look at myself like that. I don't love myself like that. I look with critical eyes. What can I fix? What do I hate? What needs to go? What needs to change? Also, powerful self-reflection. Powerful knowing. This is it. This is my body. This is myself. And when I was 5, and when I was 10, and when I was 16, and when I was 20, and when I was 25, I was never happy. Never happy with this gift. And now I am. Another big aha that came through in this journey is I've been having some hip problems, some hip pain for weeks and weeks and weeks. And I had, done my normal meditation and asked my body what it wants and what it needs. And I just kept getting pay attention. Okay, I'm paying attention. And I kept paying attention to the pain. And in this journey space, I sat down with my pen and my paper and I started to journal a little bit like, hip, tell me what is, and it's really hard to write on this much mushrooms. Side note. Tell me what you need? Tell me what's going on. And the only thing that came was notice. And then a few days later, Matt had a journey. And in his journey, he could see all of energy, and he just knew. He came out at the end and he was like, I knew that if you were in the room with me, I could heal your hip. And him saying that to me made me realize something really important, really powerful. And we talked about this in a podcast, a couple podcasts ago. The pain points the way. The pain is revealing what needs tending. And so if he was able to just magically heal the pain in my hip, I would miss out on the opportunity of becoming aware of certain ways of holding my body, certain ways of posturing, of being, of walking, of sleeping, that were actually causing long-term harm to my body. And so I'm like in a place of saying thank you for the pain. And in the weeks following this journey, Matt's journey and my journey, I've started to become aware of a lot of weird habits. I sit like this a lot, with my hips one way and my body the other. Another is that I've been standing on the outsides of my feet, like almost like I don't want to touch the ground. So all of the weight is on the pinky edge of my foot, which would put so much strain on the outside and tight and shorten all of the ligaments on the inside. So I'm becoming aware of these patterns and poor posture. I've been working on my posture a lot. I'm becoming more and more of, I'm noticing now, not just the pain. I'm noticing everything around it that's contributing to the pain. And the pain is fading. The pain is easing. And not because of some magical mushroom journey, but because I am becoming more self-aware and noticing the ways in which I am causing harm to myself. All of this is powerful, right? This knowing, but this, just like with this beautiful medicine here, right? There's a process, an alchemical process that happens in the dying of old ways of being. These old ways fall like ancient trees. And the healing, the resin, the wisdom, the teaching from these old ways of being, only over years seeps into the heartwood, becomes protection, becomes medicine. So it's not the matrix. It's not, do you choose the red pill or the blue pill? It's an Odyssey. It's Homer's Odyssey and Iliad. It's of mythic proportions. It's the journey of life. And I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for the wisdom, the teaching, and the learning. Thank you, Spirit of Mushroom. Thank you, Earth Medicine. Thank you to the teachers, to the ancestors, to the spirits, to the wise ones, to the stone and the star people. To the elements, to my husband and my babies, to my tribe in this life. I'm so grateful. Remember, your story, your healing, they matter more than you know. And every act of self-love, no matter how small, carries echoes and ripples of vibration of... NASA did a test, and they tested what was the most potent, most powerful human emotion, and guess what it was? It wasn't love. It was authenticity. So when you love yourself, when you do something for yourself, you are loving in the most authentic way possible. And this combo of authentic love, this energy is so powerful. It cannot help but change everything and everyone it comes into contact with. Love yourself. Change the world. It really is that simple. I keep looking around and thinking like I need to do more, be more, serve more, get Instagram famous, and then I sit back and I settle back and I really think like, but if everybody was just taking impeccable care of themselves and living from a place of overflow, just everything you gave, everything you said was coming from a place of abundance, overflow, and not scarcity, lack, needing, validation, then wouldn't the world be a different place? So I reground myself in that knowing, moment after moment, day after day. And every day I just strive to love myself a little better. Thanks for being here, friend. Have a beautiful day. This podcast is here to share stories and spark curiosity, not to replace professional advice. Before diving into any psychedelics or practices we talk about here, check in with your own deep knowing, your healthcare provider, and know your local laws. Anchor in your own truth before reaching out for anything or anyone. That is the real power. And one more thing, I make this show just for you. If you're loving it, drop me a comment or review on Spotify, iTunes, or YouTube. Let me know I should keep showing up. Grateful to be here with you.